Moving on to other news now, former President Jacob Zuma has told his supporters that he is not afraid of jail. This is the first time the former statesman publicly speaks out after he was issued a conditional warrant of arrest by Judge Daya Pillay for failing to appear in the KwaZulu-Natal High Court in Pietermaritzburg on the 4th of February. A Sikh-like Zuma addressed crowds at OR Tambo International Airport shortly after his arrival from Cuba after receiving treatment for an undisclosed illness.
Crowds gathered at the airport under the banner of the Radical Economic Transformation President Zuma support group. Zuma emerged, appearing ashen-faced. He had been receiving medical treatment in Cuba since the beginning of the month. Citing ill health, Zuma cancelled appearances at the State Capture Commission in November and January and failed to appear in court in his corruption case in early February. The judge rejected his sick note and issued a state warrant for his arrest. Zuma appears unfazed by the court's action.
I was informed of what happened in court by Comrade Mzwandile Masina, the chair of the ANC in Eguruleni. I am going to court. I've never been afraid of jail. Even when the apartheid police arrested me and sent me to jail, I served my time. Even now, if the current government sends me to jail, I will go and serve my time. I am not scared of jail.
A number of ANC leaders, including Masina, Supra Mahumapelo, and Kebi Mapadzwe, as well as BLF leader Andile Mngxitama, have previously pledged their undying support for Zuma, some even going as far as saying they would go to jail for him. They believe Zuma is being vilified.
What we're saying as MKMVA is that we are here to wish one of our way, one of our own, the best, that he must recover well. So he is not guilty of anything, Comrade Jacob Zuma. He is still going to attend court, but in the manner that they are treating him is unfair.
We are here today is to welcome him back home, to say, Baba, we welcome you back as our leader of the Revolutionary Frontline Troopers of the ANC. We are here to send also a message that at no stage will we disown one of our own.
One political analyst says it's an indictment on the ANC not to support Zuma as he battles ill health.
Well, it's a serious indictment. Remember, this is the same ANC that was very quick to wish you the clerk well. But when you have your former president and everybody knows he's unwell and you are unable to issue a statement that do get well, it actually shows that you have become so factional that even your sense of humanity has actually lost you.
Zuma supporters say they will be back in court in Pietermaritzburg, where the former president is due to appear on the 6th of May. Natasha Piri, SABC News, Eguruleni.
And as we mentioned, the former president returning home this Saturday after a month-long trip to Cuba for medical treatment, telling crowds waiting for him at the airport that he's not afraid of prison. Zuma received an arrest warrant earlier this month after his lawyers claimed that he was too ill to travel back to South Africa for a pre-trial hearing on corruption charges. A High Court issued the warrant after it questioned the authenticity of the sick note, but stayed it, saying it would not be executed until the case is set to resume on May the 6th. We're joined now by the National Chairperson of the Radical Economic Champions, Nkosentsha Shezi. He joins us now in the studio. A very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's talk about the reception that we had earlier on. Were you happy with the numbers, especially given the fact that you had said you are expecting thousands to appear at OR Tambo International Airport?
Of course, I'm very happy with the numbers of people who turned out to support President Jacob Zuma. You would understand that President Jacob Zuma is loved by millions of South Africans, and his leadership has appealed to most vulnerable people of our society, the unemployed, the poor, and as part of the organizing team that organized today's event, we did not provide any transport. Every single individual that you see who has descended to OR Tambo International to receive him did so in their own
so it's the
money.
hundreds,
Yes.
and I hate to be a stickler for this, it's the hundreds and not the thousands that you had expected, but it was basically an outcome that you wanted.
Well, I cannot agree that it was hundreds. I saw quite a big number of people. Well, you were the experts in terms of counting numbers, but from the side of organizers, the crowds that came there, they came in numbers. We were quite excited, for that support.
So why did you think it was important to have a reception for President Jacob Zuma? Not that it was improper, but what was the main motive behind it?
Look, as you'd understand that anyone who has been outside the country, I've been outside the country myself, the family, the friends will always come and welcome that particular individual. We did so for President Jacob Zuma, but we also came out in numbers to register our anger for a very unwarranted provocational warrant of arrest that was issued by Judge Daya Pillay. We feel that it was a matter of using the justice system to paint a picture of a President Jacob Zuma who's a fugitive of the law. We know for sure that whenever he has been expected to appear in the court of law, he has done so without fail. Only one incident when he feels he felt sick, he could not attend court and a warrant of arrest is issued, and even that warrant of arrest is not going to be implemented.
I think the judge was pretty clear on why. It was an issue of they felt that there was no official notice that was given in the form of a medical certificate that was signed by somebody whom they say there is clear indication that it is a medical officer, and certain terms of that form did not comply with what they would have been expected. So it wasn't just a warrant of arrest that was issued willy-nilly because he didn't arrive at court. The judge was pretty clear on the terms why.
No, look, for the facts of the matter, that a medical report was given in court and the judge had some questions with that report. Of course, the medical practitioner was not there. The only thing that the judge could have done if the judge wanted to further question the document that was presented, she could have asked the doctor to appear before the judge to explain whatever issues that she had with the document.
But she was saying that according to the information she got, it wasn't even clear who the medical doctor was, that there was nobody whose signature was appended to that document that could prove that it was indeed a medical certificate that met all the requirements. So, and also the other question is, why is the onus on the judge to prove that it is a legitimate medical certificate?
The onus is not on the judge, but the judge is there to verify whatever information that is presented before the judge. And if the judge has further question on the evidence presented, the judge has a responsibility to question that.
But isn't that what she did?
But she questioned the lawyers. The lawyers are not medical practitioners. Aren't they the
ones who submitted that medical certificate?
Of course they submitted the medical certificate.
So who should she question?
If she wanted further information about the medical certificate, I'm saying the lawyers are not practicing medical practitioners. She could have instructed the medical practitioner to come. Obviously, the lawyers must have obtained the document from practitioner himself. You see, we are talking about a statesman here. We are talking about a man who gave his entire life for the freedom of this country, even for the freedom of that Judge Daya Pillay. To come now and question the medical certificate to tell us that it is not authentic, and to an extent of issuing a warrant of arrest.
So you believe it was personal?
It is vilification of President Jacob Zuma. It was very personal.
Now, I want to talk to the issue of what Carl Niehaus said earlier on, that he also feels that the president is being turned into what he called a fugitive of justice. And yet President Jacob Zuma himself has said that he's not afraid of the courts, he's happy to appear before the courts. That sounds to me like somebody who's saying he has some measure of confidence in the criminal justice system, at least the judicial system, that it'll be fair enough on him. So why does it seem that there's a discord between the two, the supporters and what the president is saying?
Look, the president has always respected the courts of law. We have been here ever since these charges were brought, and we know about the political meddling in this case from the time of Bulelani Ngcuka, the timing of charging President Jacob Zuma and so forth. So we know. As the supporters, we know that when President Jacob Zuma is attacked, it is not only an attack on President Jacob Zuma, but it is an attack on RET and land expropriation without compensation, of which these are the ideals that he stands for, and these are the ideals.
Is it also an attack on the ANC's Secretary General, S. Magashule?
Why do you single out Comrade Ace Magashule?
There were posters there that were saying hands off Ace Magashule. So you've read quite a number of things that you say that persecution, as you put it, of President Jacob Zuma is a persecution or an attack on certain things. Look, and I'm asking the question, is it also an attack on Ace Magashule?
Look, the list is endless of leaders within the ANC who have stood for radical economic transformation, leaders who have championed radical economic transformation, who has faced some difficulties.
So is it an attack on Ace Magashule as well?
The attack on President Jacob Zuma, of course, is an attack on Comrade Ace Magashule. It is an attack on every member of the ANC, more especially on every...
That's interesting. When you say every member of the ANC, we had Professor Sipho Siepe there attacking members of the ANC, attacking the leadership of the ANC, and saying that they acted without humanity. They couldn't even bring themselves to speak kindly of President Jacob Zuma while he's going through this period of time that he's going through. So how is that an attack on every member of the ANC? Are you all not speaking in forked tongues?
Well, I am not. Look, President Jacob Zuma, we bestowed him a title of Father of Radical Economic Transformation, of which that is a governing policy of the African National Congress. So everybody who feels that he identifies himself with RET is a member of the ANC.
So anybody who doesn't share your views or views that you espouse about how former President Jacob Zuma is being treated is not then a legitimate member of the ANC?
I would say anybody who does not believe that the Reserve Bank of South Africa should be nationalized, anybody who does not believe that RET should be the economic policy of this country does not really belong to the ANC. In fact, we don't need such
ANC,
kind
when you say they don't belong to the ANC of your ideology, your ethos, when you say that, because
it's not about my ethos, it's about the highest decision-making body of the African National Congress, which is
a member of the ANC and who is not, based on the views that you want to espouse? Because you're saying anybody who doesn't support these ideals is not a member of the ANC. Is it really up to you? Is it really up to RET? Is it really up to supporters of...
No, it is up to the ANC itself and its policies. It is up to the decisions of the conference, which is the highest decision-making body.
So let's talk about former President Jacob Zuma then facing the courts. Do you have any faith in the judicial system that he will be treated fairly, seeing that it sounds like you believe that he is not and he won't be?
It does not only sound like it, it looks like it. There is no court in South Africa that can give fair judgment to President Jacob Zuma.
Why is that?
The environment in which this trial takes place has been so poisoned. He has been vilified in the media. Even the presumption of innocence has been tempered in this case.
So are you doubting the independence of the judiciary?
I am not doubting the independence of judiciary. I am saying that there is no way that President Jacob Zuma will be given a fair trial.
Having said that, that sounds like you are doubting the independence of the judiciary.
If it does sound like that, well, maybe it is. But what I'm saying is that President Jacob Zuma will never be given fair trial in this case.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. That is National Chairperson of the Radical Economic Champions, Nkosentsha Shezi. Something unique is taking